All right, everybody. Jason Sloan with Retardo Law Solutions coming to you live from Denver. And we have TJ Ware and John Snack. Where are you guys at these days?
So I'm down in Keller, Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth area here. And of course, SRC Summit is about to kick off tomorrow. And so this is where our offices are located at. But it's a good week to be here.
Okay.
I am based out of Indiana. I'm actually in Texas right now, though, for the SRC conference and spent some time at the NTS lab. But I'm based out of Indiana.
Okay, so the lab is in Texas.
Yeah, the lab's right here in Roanoke. We've got a new lab that we've been building out over there, and so we're pretty excited about that.
All right. So let's start off. Can you guys tell me a little bit about your background, personal and business? And then we'll get into the fun stuff.
Yeah. I'll start with my background, and then after that, after John talks about his, he's always the best one to kind of give the rundown with NTS. That's why he's such a great front man and good at educating the community out there. But I've had various businesses in the construction space. I had a electrical contracting and roofing company for years. After I became a public adjuster and founded Paradise Claims, I was able to sell that roofing company. And we've been running Paradise Claims for right at 4 years now. And then about a little over a year ago now, we started NTS, and that's gone through a big process that John and I have worked together on, along with some other people in the company. And so that's been part of the focus we've had for the last year. And now that's something that's being rolled out to the public, and we're real excited about.
Nice. All right, John.
So I am. I have a background in the construction side, mainly from the sales, estimating, and consulting side. I've worked for a company in Southern Indiana with roofing, specifically on the restoration side, for some time now, and that's given me a lot of opportunity to get experience with shingle products and shingle knowledge. And throughout that process, I've learned that there's a lot of data that is involved in shingles and what it actually takes to repair, and the just minutia that comes into when a shingle is compatible and not compatible. And then that kind of led to, TJ and I have known each other for a while just because we're in similar networks, being in restoration. And we realized at that point in time that okay, there's an opportunity here to get some different analysis that includes other available documents that contractors struggle to find or may not be able to locate, or the average homeowner may not be able to locate. So we've been working for about a year now on NTS, and it's been a fun ride.
All right, great. So, and you guys hit a benchmark today on the Facebook group, right?
Yeah, the Name That Shingle group today just surpassed 7,000 members, and that group's only about, I think, maybe 13 months old, and it's at least 6,000 of those members came just over the last probably 7 months. So that's pretty exciting. It's a great community. It's a group with a lot of engagement, and there's a lot of people in the group. And then John is always in there providing live videos and trainings. He talks a lot about discontinued products, discontinued shingles, which is kind of what got us into this whole arena in the first place, because discontinued products and understanding how to navigate claims and roof replacements when you run into a product that's not repairable or discontinued is something that John and I were both pretty passionate about. And John really has a love for especially all the different shingle products out there. And he's kind of, he had a library in his own head. So one of the most difficult parts of this whole process has been getting that information out of John's head and into our systems and processes.
Gotcha.
Correct. I did a claim with a pretty high-end discontinued product in 2016. And when I handled that one and we were sitting there discussing, there was multiple parties involved on this one. There was an adjuster, there was an engineer, the homeowner, myself, and we're all sitting there discussing this. I had all this information and I didn't know what to do with it at that time. So I had all this information on the shingle, and after we all kind of established that there was wind damage, and they're discussing that it's pretty minor and there's not a lot of it and this can probably be repaired, I introduced the idea of, well, what if I told you this product was no longer made, it wasn't available? And we had a good discussion about it then, provided them all the documents, and about 2 weeks later we had paperwork for that particular roof to be replaced in full. And the homeowner was super excited about that. And I can remember thinking at that time, like, well, this is one, there's got to be more like this. So I started compiling data and manufacturer's brochures and specs and details and everything I could learn and know about shingles, the history of shingles, who bought who, when did they buy them. And you know, I for lack of a better word, I become a geek of shingles, and that's really the quick summary of it. Is I became a geek, and TJ's right. The hardest part was taking everything a geek knows about shingles and then putting it in a digestible format for other people to train, learn, know, repeat, duplicate, and analyze. Has been one of the biggest challenges throughout this entire process. Is how do we systemize what was here, and what I've done for 5 to 6, 7 years now of just really diving into data.
We've got some really great people on the operational side as well. You don't see them on the podcast, and they don't attend the conferences and things necessarily, but they're really focused on making sure that those systems and processes are working efficiently. I know last week alone, we processed 71 reports, and we've only actually been live since the week before Thanksgiving. So, which I figured out that's probably the worst week in the world to launch a business. But the time was right, and the business was ready, and the process was ready. So we launched, and we've basically seen week over week growth since the week before Thanksgiving, all the way through the holidays, to the point to where here we are in January running at least 71 reports a week for contractors and interested parties out there. So we're just very excited with the trajectory, and we're going to keep pushing until we hit 1,000 reports a week before the end of the year.
Nice. So, and right now, what you got is, you know, you got guys that maybe they had jobs that were barely repairs, turned down, you know, underpaid and everything, and so now they're sick of Itel reports. So now you guys are a source now for this. So
obviously that's what's attractive for the contractor community. Our official position is, you know, we're agnostic. We can't take a position on whether or not we want a product to be available or not. The truth is there are a lot of products out there that aren't compatible with something that's currently sold and produced on the retail market. And unfortunately, there hasn't been an information source that has organized the information in a way to show that those products are not compatible with certain products on the market. And so we go kind of above and beyond what the market has known before by providing extra documentation. And if a product is available, we're going to let our customer know that product is available and you can go make a repair to this roof. And if the product is not available, then we're going to show clear documentation that says this product is not compatible with other products currently on the market.
All right.
So I'm going to add to that, because, you know, the whole purpose and part of the mission is that, you know, we don't have really a pull towards anybody. What we wanted to design was something that was digestible for the person that owned that building, that gave them as much available information that we could obtain on the market that was relevant to that product, that sample, that shingle, and provide it in a report that you could sit down and read and say, yes, this is available and here's where I can get it, or no, this is not available, and what concerns result from that availability or lack of availability. What concerns result of these compatibility issues, and who's saying it's not compatible? Is it the manufacturer, right? So we wanted to have something that the building owner could actually digest, because at the end of the day, that's the one being affected in this decision process. So it was, what's the information that they would need? So we call it, you know, I call it all the time, homeowner or building owner design, because it's really for them. There's lots of different people that can purchase it, but it's really designed for them. And we have gotten a lot of positive feedback that when a contractor, an adjuster, whoever it may be, puts it in front of the homeowner, that it makes sense. It takes a minute to go through the multiple pages, but at least it makes sense.
So there's a comment from somebody on LinkedIn. They must not be one of my 11,000 friends on there, but because it just says LinkedIn user, but they said, and this is true, and this is part of the reason you guys have this other business. It says, once upon a time, Itel was a useful tool. Not the last couple of years. Last year, I had a flooring that was clearly cherry flooring. Well, you guys aren't doing flooring yet, but we'll get into that later. Even to a blind person, sent the sample to Itel as required by carrier, came back as number 2 oak, and shingles are even worse, he said.
So I'll touch on that. First of all, I want to say there's going to be human error in any process that involves humans. Sure. It's a natural part of it. You know, we have recently had one that someone emailed us back and asked us about the warranty, basically 25, 30, 40 year. Where was it at? And you know, those things are going to happen. The smallest little detail could be missed. What we're hearing is that exact complaint is becoming more consistent. And when you start looking at the common denominators and you're like, how consistent can this be before a mistake should be fixed? Our goal at NTS is, if a mistake happens, all right, let's address that mistake. If a mistake repeats itself, how do we find a way to try and prevent that mistake from repeating itself? And I don't feel like the reporting from other sources is fixing the mistakes. They just keep getting repeated over and over and over again. That's what we're hearing a lot from the community too, as we've seen a lot of them post reports and descriptions that are inaccurate. And that's problematic. We lean heavily on the manufacturer's information. If the certainty and independence, it's a common designer shingle that was installed for many years, was described by the manufacturer as a designer laminate slate look shingle, well, I don't really have any reason to say it's anything other than that. If it was a designer and laminate and then some base concepts, laminate shingles are two parts, 3 parts, multiple parts laminated or glued together. Itel, unfortunately, calls that shingle a 3-tab shingle, which is essentially a strip shingle, not a laminated together shingle. We lean more on the detail from the manufacturers and the actual description of shingles and common outline of what shingle makeup is, and we don't try and reinvent the wheel there. So again, these are the frustrations we're hearing, but we designed our reports to lean heavily on the data that we have directly from the manufacturer.
And Jason, one thing that kind of led me down that road back in the beginning when NTS was first founded is that I told you previously I had been an electrical contractor for years. I was an electrician in the field. I had to learn and live by code. I had an electrician's license, and there's a standard of quality that is more closely observed in fields like electrical work than in some others. But I learned that in order for something to be code compliant, it has to be installed per the manufacturer's instructions. That's like one of the basic tenets and principles behind building code. And when I realized that there were certain people out there that were advising others to make certain repairs that essentially went against code because the manufacturers of those products said that their product can't be repaired with this particular other product or this method. And I realized that we had this issue in the market. And so I think part of the reason we've had an overwhelmingly positive response is because we are addressing a problem in the market where there's no other source, third-party source for this type of information.
So you got another person who says, made it to shout out, and now I look forward to connecting with you guys. So that's good.
Cool.
Hey, we love that you send a report.
Yeah,
report.
Exactly.
And you can always join we have a Facebook community that we talked about before. It's just crossed 7,000. It's called Name That Shingle on Facebook. It's a great way to connect with Johnny and myself. John is always spending his time giving information to the community and helping turn them into better roofers, better adjusters, whatever it is that they do, trying to deepen their knowledge behind understanding roofing products and shingles and compatibility.
Yeah, that community really, and we call it just that, it is a community. NTS as an organization and company, and what we do is to identify shingles, great. that community is a platform where a lot of industry experts and leaders get to go in and be as part of live events and educate, and we try and bring a lot of well-rounded knowledge to that particular community. So, and coincidentally, there's a lot of discussion of this topic and shingles and reporting. So I encourage whoever the LinkedIn user is, if they're not part of that group, to get in that group. It is a very helpful. There is almost no advertising. It's focused on knowledge. It's very, very driven on helping each other and sharing information. And we very, very much appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is when Itel went and started just doing, oh, you could use this, it's a close, and it was never close. Like, it's just like, so why don't you, just say, okay, throw up some shingles, and if it looks like garbage, then we'll take care of it. Like, that's what I get out of most stuff. I mean, we've dealt with this with some of the contractors we work with and everything. And, I've dealt with it on my own as far as contracting. I had some issues with a manufacturer, and the shingles were actually like pre-blistering in the package. The guy they sent out was from Pueblo, a couple hours away. And he's like, I've never seen this before. He goes, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but it's getting paid. And then they denied it, and I had to go through, and they were selling the house. So I put on another product. I got paid back, fortunately, but I was putting together a class action against them. And, because of this, and I was actually going to be hitting up everybody in Denver and saying, hey, you guys need to look at these, because number one, you're going to get to do the roofs again. Number two, if they don't want to, then we're going to own a roofing manufacturing company. So they did step up on all the jobs. It just took a lot of pushing. Basically it was like Stevie Wonder hail, but with blisters. And they literally were just, the one guy obviously was good. The other guy, I couldn't be there on one of them. And he's like, I don't see nothing wrong. And I sent the report just like you would do for an adjuster, where it had like 500 pictures of damage. It's like, this isn't like a 12-12 or anything that should mar up. It's a 512 roof, and it wasn't 200 degrees out here. There's no reason for this. Just step up, take care of it. It's a lot better to do that than get your name dragged through the mud. But yeah, I think a lot of it comes from the carriers pushing their agenda and everything. And it seems like a lot of these companies are getting bought out, or they're getting influenced because of the fact that the insurers are the ones that are paying most of the bills.
That's a response that we see in the market all the time. People say that to us on a regular basis, that they feel that the quality and the feedback from some of the other reporting companies out there has changed to say something that can be interpreted in the favor of insurance companies. And for us, there's a lot of times where there's a similar product available, doesn't meet the bar for the question at hand, especially in with its usage in an insurance claim. NTS in any official capacity, we don't have any sort of recommendation when it comes to handling insurance claims. Just because John happens to be a roofing sales coach, and I happen to be a public adjuster, when we come together at NTS, all we're trying to do is analyze a product and provide accurate data and information. And we're going to trust that the professionals out there that are using the service use it and apply it in a way that benefits whoever benefits from the situation, really, because if the product is not compatible with other products, and they're able to use that to convince an insurance company that they owe for that whole roof, great. If they're able to positively identify a product and we know that product's still available and we let the customer know, then they know where they can go buy that and make a repair if that's the appropriate method. So our job is just to try to provide the most accurate documentation as we can and constantly be improving our systems and our processes. And we have a huge focus on quality control, and we're really excited about continuing to scale that operation.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you go to court on a case, you have to have all your ducks in a row. David was talking to us the other day because we're going to be dealing with a ton of smoke claims from up here in Superior, and he deals with them anyways. And he's like, I prefer smoke claims to actual burn downs because
Yeah.
well, I mean the money is very similar. It's just you know but it's helping that person. That one knows they've lost everything and they're just dealing with it. The other one, half of the time they don't know they shouldn't even be staying in their house. You bring an industrial hygienist out, and he's they're always like, okay, and David's always saying you got to get this many samples because sometimes they think you're fudging numbers and everything. We've all seen that, and it's just sad.
Documentation is everything, and that's the
Mhm.
thing is that the only way to strengthen your position, the best way to strengthen your position, whatever it may be, is just to provide a very robust documentation package. So that's NTS is one piece of that puzzle. Our reports are one piece of that puzzle, but they're a very strong and effective source of information when it comes to that product.
Well, let me just position it this way, okay? It's fair to say that everybody in this, all three of us, believe in a competitive market.
Yep.
Is that a fair assumption, right? As a contractor, I believe in competition, that there's other people selling against me. As a public adjuster, TJ, you believe in competition, that there's other public adjusters out there, right? Is it fair to assume that insurance carriers believe in competition? There's not one carrier, there's multiple carriers, multiple different products, multiple different lines. And then we found in the dispute resolution process that there was really only one major outlet to be able to handle reporting asphalt shingles and what that product was and what are the actual concerns with it. So all we did, public adjuster, contractor, whatever you want to call us from a role standpoint, all we did was enter a market that lacked a significant amount of competition and brought competition to that market. And as everybody that buys from that market, everybody that buys reports, purchase reports, all have competition and all probably believe in competition. And all we did was enter competition into that market.
Therefore, our whole agenda is to provide the best reporting product on the market. No matter what I do, I want to be the very best at it, and we will work day in and day out through the night if that's what it takes to make sure that we have the best reporting product available, and I do believe that's what we have.
All right, you guys ready to show off your
Let's
sample?
do it.
All right.
All right. So a couple of things to highlight here. First of all, for the protection of the customer and the homeowner, we had to redact a lot of information on here. All right. But for the sake of going through this, let's talk about this example. This is a GAF Timberline 30 shingle that came in. This particular one, I looked before we got on. This one was a production from 2002. But anyway, this product, right? This product is discontinued. You can't walk into a store and buy GAF Timberline 30. It doesn't exist. There's also details from the manufacturer that say that. So this front page here kind of goes through some specs, some details. It's got maybe a claim number if there is a claim involved, property owner, whoever ordered the report, their firm, their company, their contracting company, their adjuster, IA, doesn't matter who it is. And then it outlines a couple things. Number one, did we provide a positive identification where those green check boxes are? Yes, we did. Is it currently in production? Yes or no? In this case, no, it's not in production. Is it compatible with the current product? Another red X by that no to kind of give a few quick glances to say no, it's not in production. We go to the second page here, and this is where it kind of gets interesting, right? We've got the Timberline 30. And this is really for the homeowner. This is their quick digestible page. It's got some notes. It's got the same additional details of the page before. And then it gets into a little bit more in depth of things that installers and owners may want to understand going into it. Okay. But this is where a lot of reporting stops, is what they found and they put on what they found and what they put on a report. We go a bit further. Up in this top corner is the actual report number and the address. And then we put that on the continual documents. In 2007, when GAF bought Elk, they didn't want you to mix products anymore. Pretty simple. This was a 2002 production. This letter applies to that particular shingle. In 2007, they had 3 different series running because they were running products out of the elk plants and the GAF plants, and they were all named different things. They were named the Timberline series, the Timberline Prestige, and the Prestige series. The Prestige series was smaller. The Timberline Prestige was the Timberline running out of an elk plant, and the Timberline series was the Timberline series running out of a GAF plant. Well, they couldn't mix those. There was dye lots, there was colors, there was different thickness in mats and fiber weaves. There were so many different technology differences they were merging that they had to split each of those plants and say, we're not going to mix those products. Well, this letter applies to this particular product. In 2017, they had some granule changes because GAF is a company that makes their own granules. They handle all their own granules. And when they made changes, they had to announce that they do not recommend mixing some of the old because you're going to have dye lot and color issues with those. You could argue that's a matching issue. That's fine. Whatever conversation happens or takes place after this is up to the homeowner, the contractor, the adjusters, anything along those lines. But this letter is relevant to that product, so it's in here. And I had to redact the roof type, but the roof type triggers this bulletin, which outlines the felt requirements for a hip roof and how you have to overlap felt onto the adjoining slopes. These are all documents that a homeowner would want to be able to see before they make decisions between repair, slope, or replacement. And that's why every one of these is attached. So this is a 7-page report. And again, every page has the report number up top, all the details to make sure that we've looked at this. These are the reports that trigger when this particular shingle comes up. So the homeowner has the documents from the manufacturer that are relevant and available for that particular shingle.
Nice. Let's see here. All right. And I did have a question. I looked on the website and you had something on the sample report, and I assume it goes into what you were talking about before we got online about, a slate shingle that's actually a laminate that they were saying was a 3-tab because of the way it was set up. And so the wording was kind of weird, but I assume it was something like that
Sure.
because it was talking about laminates and 3-tabs. So, but you want to go into that little story?
Sure. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure which example report, but
you said it was a slate look shingle.
No,
Right,
you were talking about another company classifying a laminated shingle as a 3-tab, is what you're talking
Right.
about.
Yeah.
So the alternate reporting service classifies a particular shingle as a 3-tab aligned granule. Well, 3-tab shingles across the market are universally thought of or considered to be strip shingles. A strip shingle is a single piece shingle. It's flat, it's not multiple layers. It's a single piece shingle. For a while, there were what's called faux laminates, which were arguably aligned granules because they would add granules to give a different look to that shingle. It was a strip shingle that looked like a laminate dimensional,
kind of like a
whatever,
Patriot,
right?
Patriot.
Yeah, the Certainty Patriot, the Horizon, the Chalet, all of those classifications in there, right? So the report for the independents for us, we designed it. We stated exactly like it says in their installation guide as a designer laminate because that's what it is. It goes on to say it's a slate look, but it's a laminate designer style shingle because it's got additional tooth, 2 to 3 per run, laminated to the top of the strip shingle. So it's a strip shingle with a laminated tooth on top, right? The alternate report on the market outlines it as a 3-tab, assuming it's a strip shingle, a line granule, saying that maybe it has more granules to it. But that's not the case. It actually has additional cuts of shingle laminated on top of a strip shingle, thus making it a laminate shingle. Those are details that if I was a homeowner and I bought a house and it had that design look shingle on this 50-year shingle that was a major upgrade. It was the 3rd most expensive or 4th most expensive shingle in that particular manufacturer's product line when it exited the market. If I had that upgraded shingle on my house and someone tried to tell me that the only thing that was going to be covered would be a 3-tab, the lowest grade shingle on the market currently, I'd want that dispute resolved. And I'd want to have all the information to be able to make an effective decision of, do I think that this is accurate or not? And where are we getting that information from? Getting that information from a third party is great. It removes some bias in that situation that, okay, you've got a contractor, a homeowner, an adjuster, a public adjuster. Let's say all of those people are involved. A third party kind of removes the opinion of everyone there. But where's the third party information coming from? We lean heavily on the information that is readily available. You can get on Google and find the Certainty and Independence Installation Guideline that clearly states that it's a designer laminate shingle. We lean on that. If that's what they called it when they made it, and they even went so far to say that they had a good, better, best classification of shingles and which classification that went in. That's all information I would want to know if I was facing replacement on a roof and I wanted to retain the look, the quality, the value. If I wanted all that, I'd want to know that information.
Well, and even if it was a product that's available, you want to put the right product on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it used to be you could you know, you got some wind damage, there's a couple shingles missing, you go to the, you know, there was a handful of guys that have been in the industry forever at the supply houses, and they could tell you what it was and everything. I remember going one time, finding out what it was, and then he goes, it's not available, and then I had to use Itel, and I had to let them know what it was because they didn't even know what it was. They put the wrong shingle down, and I'm like, no, actually it's this, and they look, they go, oh yeah, it is. That's when they would actually fix their mistakes. I've tried since then, and it's like, no, this is actually the shingle, and they don't care. They don't care who's paying for it, whether it's the insurance or you. You're paying for it. They do the same thing to you. Well, we got our $100 from you.
Also, regularly on an insurance claim, you'll run into a situation where an adjuster, maybe they're a newer adjuster, they go out there and every laminated roof, they call it
the same.
They classify it as a 30-year laminate in Xactimate. Mm-hmm. And so we have people send us, they say, hey, this shingle seems really thick and heavy. Can you tell me what it is? And it could be a 40 or a 50-year product. Sometimes it's a designer product. And then whoever orders that report can then use that information and argue for a different pricing on the replacement, which can make a really big difference.
It can.
Also,
I'll give you a great example.
Pull out those shingle gauges, guys. Get those. I know a lot of you guys just sign contracts, but having a 5-in-1 shingle gauge and a few extra things is good to have. Good knowledge.
But I'll caution you this. Read your shingle gauges if you're going to use them, because there's instructions on them how to use them, and there is a shingle gauge for things that are produced 2011 earlier, and there's a shingle gauge for things that are produced 2012 to current.
Not to mention,
you can't just use any one.
It has to be gauged a certain way, especially if there's been significant degranulation. So that's a big part of our process. We also gauge and measure every different dimensional aspect of the products.
Yeah.
What were you saying, John?
I just that's it. Use the gauge. Yeah. I was going to lean back to TJ's example, the OC Pro 50 Deep Shadow. If you stand on the ground and look at it, the average person who's new to the industry may just think that that's a laminate shingle, your typical dimensional shingle. But not only was it the highest grade dimensional shingle, it was a designer dimensional shingle because it had a dual shadow line at the top of the tooth and the bottom of the tooth, and then a heavy, heavy shadow in it as well. So technically now we're looking at a 50-year laminate that's a designer shingle. Well, there's different classifications for that. So, and you know what? Average contractors miss it. We have people post in our group saying, hey, I've never seen this before. What laminate is this? And we're like, oh, it's actually a designer laminate. So, you know, it's kind of fun to educate the community. But the minutia of what that shingle is and how it looks and how it's built and how it's constructed and how thick it is can greatly affect the outcome of a repair versus replacement decision. So we're happy to be helping with those, at least getting the input in front of the homeowner.
Exactly. A lot of the contractors that have been working with us, they have instituted a rule across the board at their companies. If they're working on a roof and it's an insurance claim and they're instructed to make a repair, they instantly pull a sample and send it to NTS. Across the board, that's what everybody in the company is doing every time. It's $100, and we've seen it make the difference of tens of thousands of dollars just from submitting that documentation from a third party showing this product is not compatible with current products on the market. It's not a matching issue. See, it's a compatibility issue. Mm-hmm. The manufacturer can't guarantee that the roof is going to hold out the elements because it wasn't designed to be mixed with a different product. So it's not about matching just the look of it. It's about actual product compatibility, and that's very
Yeah,
important.
Yeah.
it is
Can you
because
imagine if somebody put 3-tab on that slate look roof
yeah,
for
exactly.
repair?
Well, let's
And it
take
might
it a
be.
step further. Let's just say that designer roof is so old that it doesn't even have AR granules, and you put a brand new AR granule 3-tab shingle in there. The copper in that granule is going to wash the shingles below it, and you're going to get unsightly streaking on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
You could find the closest visual match. It may not look that different from the ground, but then in 5 years, you're like, holy, my roof looks terrible. Again, compatibility is our key word. We say it all the time in our lab, in our shop. It comes up because the thing that we're searching for is it compatible with current products? Availability is the first question to ask. Is it available or not? Even if it's available, it may not be compatible with the current product line. So just kind of a very interesting overall view of how we should look at and analyze sample products.
Yep.
Funny story about streaks. I had a client and she wanted the rusted steel put on her house, and I'm like, so me being who I am, I go look to suppliers because she had built like this shed add on to her garage, and that's what she used. And I'm like, it's gonna look horrible on this black roof, right? When it starts rust stains. And so I bring all this designer stuff, and so it looks like it's rusted. No, I want the real stuff, like what I have here. And I said, are you serious? And I go, okay. So I had to research it. So we had to wash it down with vinegar and everything, get the oil off to get the rust look and everything. And I've driven by. I mean, she's got a 12-12 roof, so you can see it. But I mean, it has the look that she wanted. So I was like, I always look at when somebody's going to sell the house, what they're going to look at. But that's what she wanted. So, the next person might tear it all off, all the extra metal work that we did. I had one of my guys that does siding and metal stuff, and they did all that. And it was funny. She's like, why do you need all this extra material? I go, because we don't have this easy cut like you have. I'm putting it on 3 dormers on your house. There's angles and everything. And the thing is it takes 2 months to get this product. I'm not going to get everything done but 1 or 2 pieces and be waiting. Like, I would rather have 2 extra panels that you can use. I've charged you for it, so I don't care, because it was an appraisal situation and we moved some money here or there. Everybody's seen that before. But yeah, definitely. So you guys are focusing on asphalt roof
Correct.
products for right now. And then you guys said you're going to be expanding in the roofing market. You want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, we're going to continue to expand our product line to include other types of roofing materials. It's just that there's a couple of factors. Obviously, we're still constantly working on expanding the product base and our product library that we have currently for asphalt shingles. But we're going to get this year into the tile and the slates. It's just that there's a lot of very complicated factors, a lot of nuances. And just the fact that the products themselves are much older in general, like it would be rare for you to run into a roofing shingle that's older than 50 years old, especially in some of these markets. And in Texas, in Dallas, Fort Worth, sometimes you're lucky to find anything that's more than 20 years old. But when it comes to tile and slate, you can easily run into 70, 80, 90, or 100-year-old products, and products where the manufacturers may have been out of business for a century. That information never made its way onto the internet. And so when it comes to gathering the proper information and documentation so that we can be accurate and provide a valuable service, there's more to it than just asking everybody for discontinued shingle letters.
Nice. And then you guys said down the road, once you guys got everything in the roofing industry down, you guys are looking into getting into other materials as well.
It's just a possibility at this point. We're going to see which direction it goes. We're really passionate about roofing products. John and I have both spent a lot of time in our careers dealing with roofing products. And a lot of our network up to this point has been with people that predominantly do a lot of roofing work. That's how we've gained the experience professionally that we have, in this subject. So that's where our focus is. That's where our passion is. And we have enough to accomplish in that space that those other things are so far on the horizon. It's really not anything we're putting a lot of energy into at this point.
We're also really passionate about the quality of the report. So we would never want to enter into a surface identification situation where the quality wouldn't be able to mirror what we've already established with the asphalt roll. So when we look at tiles and siding and everything else that we're looking to bring on beta testing for new reporting, that's the first question we ask is how are we going to shape this to be the same quality that we've already established? Because if somebody is used to us on asphalt and then let's say 6 months from now we add siding, they order a siding one, and the quality is significantly different, that puts a bad taste in somebody's mouth. And we're not trying to go down that road.
Yeah,
so.
we're opposed. We're of the school of thought that you focus on the product, right? This report is our product. We want the absolute best, most accurate, most informative product available on the market, no matter what. And we're not going to compromise quality for any reason, including, trying to get into another space.
Yep.
All right. So if you guys want to get a hold of these guys, the Facebook group is Name That Shingle. Once again, they just hit 7,000. And it keeps on growing. And then if you guys, what show are you guys at? Going to be starting tomorrow?
We're going to the Storm Restoration Contractor Summit. That's the SRC Summit in Irving, Texas, kicking off tomorrow and wrapping up on Sunday with a big concert. And then Paradise Claims has a booth there. NTS will have a presence there. If someone's looking for tickets, they can still get them online at srcsummit.com. We have a $200 coupon code that you can use. Type in Paradise with a capital P.
Nice.
And just in general, TJ and I are often at the major roofing events. So, feel free to reach out to us. Keep an eye on the group because we do post in the group that we will be at certain events. We love to connect with people. I mean, if there's a role that TJ and I both play very well, it is that networking, connecting role. So come up to us, talk to us. We want to talk to you.
100%. NTS has a booth and John has a breakout down at IRE happening down in New Orleans. And then we also have a booth and a breakout at Win the Storm coming up next month here in Dallas.
All right.
Yep. Awesome.
And if anybody needs help with estimates and supplements, you can call or text me at 720-702-1938 or at jason@furtadolaw.solutions. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, and looking forward to sending some work your way.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jason.